Update. The Houston Texans are implementing new pat-down procedures at all home games starting this Sunday. The Texans say fans should arrive early to allow for extra time to get through security. Perhaps there should be some time set aside to explain who the real government-sponsored terrorists are. Yes, that's governments, plural. Wyoming state and federal health officials warn listeriosis cases could continue for up to 2 more months, because people may have infected cantaloupes in their refrigerators and because of the weeks-long incubation for the illness. Wyoming has reported 3 listeria infections in the past week, more than it normally reports in a year. The September 25th edition of the CBS News program 60 Minutes included an extensive feature on the anti-terror capabilities of New York City's police. In the segment, Commissioner Ray Kelly reiterated to Scott Pelley that NYPD has some means to take down a plane. Also featured in the guided terror tour, the city's massive artificial intelligence surveillance camera Panopticon activist post is back up and running. Visit often, as it seems as if one of the few sources of alternative views left out there today that appears to only have an agenda of finding the truth. 2 years to the day after Tropical Storm Ondoy brought a massive flood to Metro Manila, a fiercer storm, Typhoon Pedring, on Monday, barreled its way into Luzon and pummeled the country's eastern coast with winds of 140 kilometers per hour near the center. Authorities ordered more than 100,000 people to flee their homes. Thousands stranded at Manila Airport after Philippine Airlines workers stage a walkout. Members of the labor union PLEA walked out of their workstations starting at 7 a.m. even before the management announced flight cancellations due to the inclement weather, PL spokesperson Cielo Villaluna said. She warned that disruption of airport operations comes with criminal liabilities as she called on the PLEA members to return to their workstations. The island of El Hierro in the Spanish Canary Islands is bracing itself for a possible volcanic eruption. Situated in the Atlantic Ocean off the west coast of Africa, the Canary Islands are all volcanic, but there has been no volcanic activity on El Hierro since 1793. However, a series of small earthquakes have been registered by sensors in the past 2 months, and a quake of grade 3 on the Richter scale registered last Thursday have caused the threat of volcanic activity to be raised from green to yellow for the first time in recent history. Saturday produced another stronger tremor of 3.4 on the Richter scale which, like many other earthquakes these days, was felt all over the island. Maui residents craft legislation to ban geo-engineering chemtrails. The mainstream news media has been quietly releasing an increasing number of stories these days that openly admit the existence of geoengineering programs, including accounts of various chemical and particle release programs similar to the chemtrail operations that those dubbed as conspiracy theorists have been warning the public about for years. The ordinance, which is currently being sponsored by several public officials and council members in the area, prohibits the release of aerosols and other particulates into the atmosphere without informed consent from the people of Maui County. So, my friends, they publicly tell you of these operations. The operations are visible in your sky. Yet this continues, along with the majority of denials. Something to think about. And keep an eye on your sky. NYPD ordered to stop marijuana possession arrests. Police Commissioner Ray Kelly Monday issued an internal order to the NYPD telling officers they can no longer arrest people for marijuana possession in public view if the marijuana was not in public view before officers either searched the person and produced it or the person produced it after an officer's demand that he empty his pockets. The NYPD has made a practice of stopping people on the streets, searching them or demanding they empty their pockets, then charging them with possession in public view. New York City and the NYPD have come under increasingly heat over the practice, which has resulted in tens of thousands of marijuana in public view arrests each year in recent years. The policy began under the administration of then-Mayor Rudy Giuliani, but has continued under the administration of Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who famously admitted having smoked pot and enjoying it. Be sure to clear out your cash and cookies, because Facebook cookies work even if you're logged out. Use Disk Cleanup accessory with most computers, or Advanced System Care 4.0 works well. This, an article from Time Magazine's Techland, that states, Facebook may not be planning to shut down your account or charge you, but that doesn't mean that they aren't doing some things that you might want to be concerned about. Say, for example, tracking users even after they log out of the site. That's the accusation from developer Nick Kuberlevic, who discovered that Facebook alters tracking cookies when you log out instead of deleting them. With my browser logged out of Facebook, whenever I visit any page with a Facebook like button, or share button, or any other widget, the information, including my account ID, is still being sent to Facebook, Kuberlevic wrote. The only solution to Facebook not knowing who you are is to delete all Facebook cookies. A disturbing article from globalist Mail Online in the UK that states, surgeons won't have to wait to make sure a heart has stopped beating before harvesting organs under new guidelines. At present, when doctors are retrieving organs, they have to wait at least 2 minutes to ensure it doesn't spontaneously start again. Critics now fear seriously ill patients could be viewed more like tissue banks than sick people if the plans to change rules about organ donation go ahead. The critics probably don't realize that we may already be viewed as tissue banks, as cattle. From The Australian, women will be able to serve as Australian Special Forces and infantry soldiers within 5 years following a green light by federal cabinet for the removal of gender-based discrimination in frontline military roles. This is another triumph in thought, but don't join the military unless you want to protect the interests of, not your country and its citizens, but instead a global elite whom have a stake in many of our countries. Military is being glorified now more than ever, in many places, like with Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which, unfortunately, is belittled by the fact that it is being used as a tool, but, overall, they want to fill their ranks because the global elite military-industrial complex and their oligarchical international banking cartels, they realize they are outnumbered. There are other ways to protect yourself and your country. Again, we repeat, everything you do or don't do, for that matter, is a vote. The main Burlington-Northern Santa Fe rail line is shut down through southwest Washington, as BNSF police and inspectors investigate tampering along the railway from north of Vancouver to Chehalis. BNSF personnel discovered the tampering shortly before 11 a.m. Monday along that corridor. He says 9 trains including Amtrak are being held. A limited number of freight trains are being escorted through at restricted speeds. The first incident was reported near the Longview. Melina says police are searching the area for suspicious activity and are investigating further. He says the main rail lines will be closed until it's determined to be safe. Smoke screens, drills and rail lines, oh my. Update to follow. Tropical Storm Felipe public advisory. Felipe a little weaker than previously estimated. Here we go again. But this time in the northwest. Former Typhoon Rocky blasting Canada, northwest US. Rainfall of 2 to as much as 6 inches will douse much of the area between the coast and the coast mountains. The area has already had heavy rain lately, so more flooding and landslides will be possible. On Sunday, evacuation orders were lifted for some residents of the central British Columbia coast, according to CBC News. The area had been hit with about 4 to 8 inches of rain from Thursday to Saturday. Very similar, if not exact same scenario played out in the Northeast only a few weeks ago. In much of PA and upstate New York, especially the Binghamton and Broome County region, which saw unprecedented flooding. Also, flooding is ongoing in New Jersey, as well. Be careful out there. Come together, and support one another in these trying times. Occupy Wall Street, pepper spray officer named in protest claim. A senior New York police officer accused of pepper spraying young women on the Occupy Wall Street demonstrations is the subject of a pending legal action over his conduct at another protest in the city. The Guardian has learned that the officer, named by activists as Deputy Inspector Anthony Baloney, stands accused of false arrest and civil rights violations in a claim brought by a protester involved in the 2004 demonstrations at the Republican National Convention. Okay. Seriously? This guy's name is Tony Baloney? Seriously? Something here doesn't add up. Comments, discussion, inquiries encouraged. Also, be sure to check out the video that is in slow motion pointing out this cop, or, as some probably should not say, this pig named Tony Baloney. Really, that's his name? We wouldn't normally use that term here at Get In It for Truth, but the irony is not lost on us. From ITN News. Floating City, Ultimate Lair for Bond Villain? Project Utopia is a floating city with as much space as a cruise liner and 4 helipads. Efforts to get more communities in the UK fluoridated appear to be failing, as a recent decision by officials in Southampton, a city roughly 80 miles southwest of London, refused a proposed water fluoridation plan. Delhi Metro has become the world's first railway network to earn carbon credits from the United Nations for helping cut greenhouse gas emissions. And so it begins. Mother banned from school and bus stop after shouting at boys who bullied her 10-year-old son. Military drones found on North Carolina beaches. If you've ever wanted a military drone, you may want to visit Oak Island or Carolina Beach. Folks at those beaches say they found the plane-like structures with an orange and white design Thursday. Officials at Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point claim that the drones were used September 17th during a live fire exercise at Onslow Beach. The City Board of Estimates was poised to approve $9.5 million to purchase a new fleet of helicopters for the Baltimore Police Department. Just 18 months ago, the helicopters, known as Foxtrot, were in danger of being grounded in Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake's proposed budget. But the aviation unit was restored, and now the police department is getting a brand new fleet. The pro-government Syrian Electronic Army has claimed responsibility for briefly defacing the website of Harvard University in the U.S. Hackers. Funded by whom? How? Hackers apparently replaced the homepage with an image of Syria's president, and a message accusing the U.S. of supporting the uprising against Assad, and threatening retaliation. If you have the time. A free view documentary worth the watch, and more thought and action prescribed. Starsuckers is a documentary about the celebrity-obsessed media that uncovers the real reasons behind our addiction to fame and blows the lid on the corporations and individuals who profit from it. Made completely independently over 2 years in secret, the film journeys through the dark underbelly of the modern media. Using a combination of never-before-seen footage, undercover reporting, stunts and animation, the film reveals the toxic effect the media is having on us all and especially our children. Also, a mini-podcast from wideshut.co.uk. About Charlie Beach from the Love Police appearing on a BBC show, of all broadcasting companies, and then flip-flopped, horribly, publicly, unfortunately on the real truth of 9/11. Wideshut does a great job defining the propaganda Charlie found himself shoveling. The State Assembly of Veracruz has created a law that makes it a crime to use Twitter or other social networks to undermine public order. It is the first law of its kind in Mexico, but most likely not the last.